Hello, everybody.
Hello.
It's Phil and Oscar. We're back. Yes, that's right. I know everyone is looking forward to seeing me. Thank you so much. I'm sorry I had to bring Oscar back on, but
that happens.
we are just tied together, man. That's all it is. That's what it comes down to. Well, we have a great show for you, and we have an exceptional person that we will be talking and interviewing, and so we wanted to bring her specifically to our audience because we want to talk about it. We want to talk about emotional health, and how important it is, and she specializes in this area. So we want you to hear a whole lot more about that and more to come. But before we get into that, we are promoting this event that's going to be coming up in June. Am I right, Oscar? That's June, right? June? Yeah.
Yep.
And here we go. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. My name is Philip Reid, and I'm the president and CEO of Phoenix National Network. I'm so proud to celebrate the second year of the Bishop's Corner on June 10th and 11th of this year. And we're going to be having a wonderful concert of celebration with Dwight Strouder and his team, and it's going to be a wonderful time. I want to invite you all to join us. The details for this event will be shown at the bottom of the screen. So if you are interested in coming out on June 10th for the concert, you can reach me at 914-297-7624 for more information. Also, this is going to be a great 2-day event. That is 2 days. So we have hotels that are already reserved for you on a low rate, and have limited rooms. So please register with the hotels that are being issued to you at the bottom of the screen as well, so that you can get the best price for this 2-day event, because we will be at Lake Compounce in Connecticut, right in Bristol, Connecticut. And we're getting a great rate for everyone to come out and have a great time. There will be food there. It will be complimentary, free food, discounted rates, so you can bring the entire family to this great event. Also, we're doing a $1,000 giveaway on Friday night for anyone who is in attendance to the concert. So all you have to do is buy a ticket, reserve your seat, and get a chance to win $1,000. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Take care. All right, so that's going to be June 10th and 11th. You don't want to miss it because that's just not good. Anything you got to say, Oscar? Or you just muted yourself?
Let me unmute.
Hello?
There we go. Okay. I did not see.
Okay, so Oscar seems to be having technical difficulties. I think he's having technical difficulties. Are you having technical difficulties, Oscar? I guess you can't answer that. All right, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to introduce our guest. She's going to come on, and we are welcoming none other than Michelle Dickinson. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, guys.
Hi, how are you?
I'm awesome. I'm excited to be here with you. Thanks for inviting me.
We are excited to have you.
You haven't started yet.
So, just quickly, introduce yourself to our audience. Tell us a little about who you are.
Sure. Again, I'm so grateful for the invitation to be here. So a little bit about me. So I am a workplace well-being strategist. I get to work every day with organizations to recenter their people. And the reason I do that is because I was affected deeply by mental illness and mental health challenges. I grew up with a mother who had bipolar disorder. I struggled with depression myself, and then I helped to build a employee resource group for mental health at my Fortune 500 company when I was there. So I'm really connected to this topic. I've given a TED talk and I've written a memoir about it. And I really just want to end suffering in silence. Too many people, especially now, are struggling. And I feel like we have an opportunity to like turn up the volume around the brain health narrative to really help people be unashamed and unafraid of getting help.
That's incredible. Wow. Suffering in silence.
Yeah.
What does that normally look like?
You know, Phil, before we came on the air, you were telling me about a friend of yours, and it's the person that we don't think is struggling. It's the one who's maybe not talking about what they're dealing with, but showing up with a smile on their face, right? It's
Yeah.
It's the person too who is ignoring or diminishing how they're feeling because, well, we're all dealing with the pandemic, right?
Right.
So a lot of people right now are just not really understanding the mental impact that this pandemic has had on so many of us. And so it causes a lot of us to diminish how we're feeling or just not talk about it because it's not comfortable.
Wow. Exactly. I don't, well, I mean, is it harder for men than for women to do that?
Yeah. I mean, we live in a society where men are taught to not talk about how they feel, and to just, push through, and I don't want to be perceived as weak, or so a lot of men often suffer in silence. And, we as women who love our men have an opportunity to support them and help them talk about it, get comfortable with it. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Men, more so than women, we like to talk, us women. So
do you really? I don't know. That's so true. I think that women have a more open sense of expressing themselves, especially about emotional things. Yeah. Right, Oscar?
Can you hear me? I'm not sure.
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Men keep, like you said, men push through, keep that stiff upper lip going. And then, that's why men go and play golf, just to like release. And that's where men talk, in a sports setting, but not, like women do. They sit down and they chat and they get everything out in the open. And guys like, no, I'm fine.
Yeah. But to your point, Oscar, one of the things I like to remind ladies, like, what is it that we can do? And the one thing we can do is encourage that connection that our male, whether it's our partner or our father or our counterpart, whoever, is to encourage them to spend time with their guys, right? Because on some level they're connecting, and that connection is very important. They might not be pouring their hearts out to one another, but that bond and that connection is nurturing. So I always say, let's support our men in doing what they love to do so they can have that connection to other men.
That's really good. That's a really good point. What are some of the ways that you can approach a situation like that, though? Like, yeah, everyone is kind of like in, trying to get an understanding of how do you do that?
Yeah.
And can you give it like an example, maybe?
I think as partners, we have the opportunity to provide a safe, nurturing space, right? An open space, a space that's judgment-free, a space where if your loved one wants to talk, they will talk, but you've opened the door when they're ready. And then just, he used the pandemic as an excuse. Like, we were withheld connection from those we loved because we were quarantined. So encouragement of, you can get out with your friends. Like, isn't that amazing? Like, when are you going to do that? Like, go hang with the guys, go do something. Like, I'm going to go do something with the girls. You go do something with the guys, and just like just make it all about connection, because connection is really what's healthy for us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's
Anything,
wonderful.
any questions you have, Oscar?
Yeah, because that again, that's what we do on the show, and with the group that we have, it's a lot of connection, and we meet online, and then once a month we have lunch together. So there's a real physical connection, and there's the online group that we have. So yeah, we do that connection.
I think also, Oscar, we survived this pandemic because we had each other. Right. We had an outlet with each other. We met online. And then we started doing this networking group thing. And it just turned into what we see right now. Over time, it was like we just said, okay, let's keep doing this. And it's been great. It's been fun to have that level of support. But my question is, like, how did you get into all of this, though? What motivated you to kind of get into this field?
Phil, I was minding my own business, working in a corporate job, thought I'd retire into the sunset. I had no thought that I would become an advocate and do this work. But, growing up with a mother who had bipolar disorder, it wasn't a conversation that I ever really had. And a colleague found out that that was my childhood, that's what my experience was, and she nominated me to give a TED Talk. And so that sort of started this entire ball rolling. I gave the TED Talk about my mom. I then was inspired to write my memoir, Breaking Into My Life. And I found that those two experiences were able to open up conversations that weren't going to happen. It created relatedness. People were coming out and talking to me about their experiences. And I said to myself, wow, like the power of storytelling, like what else could I do with this? What else could I do to cause a positive change? And so then I just started talking at Rotary clubs, and people were inviting me to talk about mental health and my story. And I just got really connected to it. And I said, okay, so I think that there's a bigger calling. I think I need to be doing more with what I've been given. And so I left the corporate world and started my own company, like right before the pandemic. Like timing was absurd.
That sounds so familiar,
That's a good idea. But honestly, it actually was, because a lot of my clients initially were looking for ways to empower and help keep their workforce healthy, especially because we were all working from home. People were trying to balance their families, homeschooling their kids, all of that pressure and stress. So that's how I sort of fell into it. And because I had suffered from depression and I'd put myself through a lot of rigorous self-development work with like Landmark and Tony Robbins, I had a lot of tools in my tool belt where I could teach resilience. And so the rest is history. Now I do this work all the time with the hopes that I create more compassionate environments for employees and get people talking about mental health. And that's truly what is the most deepest, fulfilling work that I think I could ever do.
Wow. And that is exactly right. I think the most fulfilling thing is just knowing that you're helping people get to the next level of their life is amazing. One thing about going through a tough situation or a hard situation, is that if you're a seeker, you learn lessons from it.
Yeah.
Right. And it's lessons that you can use to help other people. And I think that's what you did. It's like you took what you experienced and you said, you know what? There's somebody that needs my help with this.
It made me curious. Everyone would say to me, I don't know how you navigated, living with an abusive mother, because listen, when someone is hurting from a mental illness, it's highly likely they're going to hurt other people. There's a saying, the hurt others, right? So my mom was not always nice to me, let's just say. But people would say to me, you know what, Michelle, you made it out okay. You did okay. You made it out okay. But I had always wanted to, I had a burning curiosity to understand how that experience affected me. When I would get in relationships, I try to figure out, well, why did I attract this person? So because I was so curious, I was seeking out ways to develop myself. And that's when I just started doing a lot of, the development programs, and even putting myself in therapy with counseling to really understand and unpack it, because, these are experiences that shape us.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And it's like, it's very difficult to really maneuver around them if you can't really identify,
Right.
that you're going through issues. Like, for instance, that's a good question to ask, is can you help somebody identify if they're going through a specific, situation? Because some people, I feel like, put themselves in a place of denial. Like,
Yes.
yeah, I would never deal with that. Or no, that's for other people. It's not for me. Right.
Right.
Have you ever met that situation? And is there any way to really talk to someone about that?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things that come to mind. First is if your joy is compromised in some way, right? If you're not able to take pleasure in the things that you love to do, I would say, like hobbies or activities that you love to do, there's something off. So get curious as to why you're not experiencing the level of joy that you're used to. That would be the first thing. And a lot of times, especially now, they're comparing themselves to other people and how they've navigated the pandemic. They're also diminishing how they feel, because we've all experienced quarantine. We've all experienced the highs and lows of this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do that, when we diminish how we're feeling, it's ignoring it. It's looking the other way. And so what I tell people is, stop comparing yourself to the person next to you. We might be experiencing, we might be in the same ocean, but we're in very different boats, because our experiences from our childhood have this experience play out very uniquely for us. So don't diminish how you're doing. Like, that's the worst thing you can do. So acknowledging if your joy is compromised, if you're feeling burdened, if there's emotional drag, if you're experiencing emotional drag, get curious as to why that is and talk to someone. And it could just be a friend. It could just be venting to someone that you trust. Doesn't have to be immediately going for a therapy session. It could actually just be, let me just have a conversation with someone I trust.
That's simple.
That's what barbers are for.
There you go.
Yeah. I don't need a barber. I mean,
that's why you have issues. You see,
I go to a barber and he says, "Why are you here?" I said, "I'm just here to see how you do your work."
Trim the beard a bit.
Yeah, trim the beard a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, Michelle, tell us a little bit about your book.
Sure.
Breaking into my life, right? Breaking into my life. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So that book took me 4 years to write. No kidding. It took me 4 years, 4 long years. It was basically coming out of my TED Talk. I knew the power of storytelling. And I thought, if I could sit down and really explain to people what life was like growing up with my mom, then maybe I could humanize mental health for people to really understand it and not fear it. Oftentimes mental health and mental illness gets painted in the media as a horrific event. And so I thought, if I could tell the story of my mom, they could see that my mom was not her diagnosis. And oftentimes we collapse someone as a person with their illness when that's not fair to do, because the person is not what their diagnosis is. So the book itself it takes you through my life, my childhood, my adolescent years, my young adult life, and my adult life, and how the impact of my mom shaped me, what it taught me, some of the more painful experiences, but then ultimately how it positioned me to really rise above and hopefully inspire other people that if you have challenges in your childhood and in your young life, that those experiences don't dictate your future. You get to say how the future goes. So it's ultimately a story of perseverance and triumph.
Wow. I'm speechless. And that is rare. Okay. that does not happen often.
You got both of us thinking.
I know. I just, it's almost like I took an inhale and it never came out. It's like, that, because that is like, that's a journey that is really hard. I don't know if anybody else can relate to that, but to be able to go through something like that and then put it into words, that must have been difficult.
Yeah, I mean, that's why it took 4 years. So for me, I mean, it was reliving those experiences. I was fortunate. I had an amazing writing coach because I'm not a writer by training. So I had a writing coach, and she would ask me to relive those experiences so that I could write about them. And some of them were really painful. So I would actually have to take away like months of time to step away from the content because it was so intense. But I'm glad I did, because a lot of my readers say that my book takes them on a journey and they feel like they were right there with me. And that's really what I was out to accomplish with the book. Was I really want people to step into what it's like to love someone with a mental illness. And here's the reality. Yes, it was hard, Phil, but like, we all have stuff in our childhood, and we can either be victims of it or we can deal with it, heal from it, and create a future. Like, we all have that choice. So mine happened to be the color purple. Yours might be the color blue. Like, whatever your stuff is, you get to say how the future goes, and unless you choose to be a victim of your past.
And sometimes we do make that choice.
We do.
To take that route is to become the victim of our choice. It's funny that you should say that, because, there's so many times I feel like personally that I could get stuck.
Yeah. And
it's just the thought of, I mean, for me, it's just the thought of what, I'm a very logical person, right? So just the thought of being stuck and not being able to progress, that for me is torture.
Yeah.
Right. There's no worse thing in the world for me to feel like, other than, than feeling stuck. So just the thought of being stuck frees me. Like, I'm not going to get stuck in this thought. I'm not going to get stuck in this emotion. I'm not going to get stuck in this cycle. I'm going to think of something that's positive. I'm going to break out of this mindset and grab onto a different mindset in order to break out. What is your exercise for like breaking out of like a negative cycle?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And I think, we all have to have something in our toolbox for that. So for me, it's easy as an entrepreneur to go down that rabbit hole, right? To like grab onto it and just ride the rabbit hole down, down, down. It's so easy.
It's like taking a train. It's just like waving down. Like, I'm on this train.
Yeah. But like, our energy is going to go where our attention flows. So for me, I try really hard to say, all right, what is going good? What is going right? And it's as simple as reflecting on things I'm grateful for, right? Like, what's working? Okay, let's just get present to all the good stuff that is working so that we don't go down the rabbit hole with what isn't. But I also try really hard to fill my head with positive stuff. So I'm always listening to, whether it's Joe Dispenza or Tony Robbins, or I'm listening to Esther and Jerry Hicks. I'm always trying to make sure that I'm getting that positive messaging into my head instead of allowing it to fate and whatever pops up on my screen, So I try to protect what I'm consuming in my mind is my point. So I am less likely to go down the rabbit hole. And when I do, I try to limit it. I mean, because I'm human and I will. So I try to limit it.
So
Wow.
you try to be present, I think, is because I'm looking at Lao Tzu said, if you're
Yes.
depressed, you're living in the past. If you're anxious, you're living in the future. You can only live in the present, and that's the only thing you can control.
Right. Right. And recognizing that where you are is a result of the actions or inactions that you've taken in the past. And you get to say how the future goes by the actions you take right now.
Yes. Yes, exactly. That, I mean, what you said right there is the caveat for as well. It's like when you realize what you have, you literally have some control over, and that is not other people.
Right.
You can't control other people. I had to learn that. And not in the sense of control, manipulate, it's in the sense of, you can't make somebody love you. You
No.
can't make somebody care. You can't make people do something. And so once you kind of realize the things you have control over,
Yeah.
which is you,
Right.
it's empowering. It is really like, it really brings you to another level, doesn't it?
Really, when I was doing Landmark, I met this woman in the program who introduced me to the works of Byron Katie. Have you heard of Byron Katie?
Yes.
So Loving What Is, the book Loving What Is, really resonated with me because I use this example in my resilience training. It's like no amount of disagreement with reality will change reality. All it will do
Wow.
all it will do is create an upset in your life. You will be upset. So I use this example of you get a flat tire, you pull on the side of the road, you can jump up and down all day and disagree with the tire being flat. Is that going to change the tire? It's not going to change.
I love that. I love that.
But it could get you.
Tire, you better get back on that car.
I mean, the worst case scenario is you get hit by a car while you're out there arguing with your tire.
Yeah, the car's brother gets mad, But
So,
go ahead, finish your
yeah,
scenario.
no. So the point is, like, if you can learn to love the situation for what it is, I'm not saying like, I'm not, I'm just saying in general, like if somebody is the way they are, like that's who they are. Like there's no amount of disagreement with who they are that's going to change them. So why are you going to create an upset for yourself? Allow. It's just like the art of allowing, and just allow it to be the way it is,
I think I heard something.
Go ahead.
I heard something that made a lot of sense, about everybody being different. It says, imagine every person being their own country. So
Right.
you have laws that pertain to your country, but they might not pertain to that country. We have certain laws we all agree with, don't cross borders, all this stuff. But what I do in my country is my business.
Yeah.
And I have no business going over to your country and say, you need to change the side of the road you're driving on. You need to change this because that's the way I like it. So that's the best thing I heard, to put it into mind. Like, yeah, everyone's their own country and we have an agreement between countries, but we cannot go in there and change their laws.
Right.
That is one profound statement, Oscar. Why?
Yeah, I don't make these things up. I do a lot of R&D, which is rob and duplicate.
Yeah, there you go. That's I can vouch for that. Because I'm your partner, right?
Yes.
So here's the thing, right? The thing with that is, I mean, reason why I say that's a profound statement is because when I thought about that, I've always thought of everyone being like their own country.
Mm-hmm.
And when I meet someone, I think of it like negotiations are being made, right? You're looking at how 90% of communication is body language.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at how they respond to you and how you respond to them. And you're kind of like saying to yourself, should I become an ally or should I just remain neutral? And in those talks, that's really what the decision you make is, okay, I want to get to know this person more. or you give them a fake number and you walk away, which I've never done that, ever done that.
Karma.
You've been the recipient of a make believe number more than once, I guess. But
so on another level, tell us how people can reach. I know people can reach out to you for to help them in these situations.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us how that can happen.
Sure. What I largely do in organizations is teach resilience. I want to help people preserve their well-being and give them tangible things they can do every day. And the other piece is I want to teach leaders how to engage safely in a conversation if they think their employees are struggling, because so many people feel that their people might be struggling, but they just don't know how to approach the conversation. So those are the two big things I do in the workplace. And you can contact me. The best way is through LinkedIn. I'm always, highlighting things that I'm doing mostly in LinkedIn, especially, I have a mental health series that I do where I'm talking to people about mental health. You can learn more about different diagnoses. You can learn about, different strategies to help yourself. So LinkedIn's probably the best bet. If you're interested in my website for corporate support, I also do public speaking. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so I'm on a mission to talk about mental health in workplaces in the month of May. But you can contact me by careforyourpeople.com as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Michelle, it was so amazing to have you on. And Oscar, thank you for making this connection, man.
Yeah, well, all right. Let's talk about connection. I'm, in our networking group, we have what's called a face-to-face, where you make a meeting with someone to find out more about them. And in the middle of this conversation, she said something about she wants to work or is going to be working with a church.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know exactly who you need to talk to.
Yeah.
And I texted Phil right there. I'm like, Phil, you got a minute? He's like, okay, why? I'm like, get on my Zoom. And this is what happens.
So that's the other piece I do want to mention, because I'm learning through working with different ministers and religious leaders that the church is a beautiful place to talk about mental health. I never thought about it, because it's always been, we'll pray about it. But imagine if you combine prayer with resources, and it's already a safe space for people to talk about mental health. So I'm doing more and more churches. I actually have a resilience program I'm doing next week with my first church, and I'm excited about it because they are embracing this conversation. So thank you, Oscar.
No, okay. Now you got me going again. Okay, because that is the perfect place to talk about mental health and emotional health, because it's skipped over. And this is why I said the statement I said in the beginning, for the people that are totally masking and ignoring the fact that they need more personal attention.
Yeah.
Right? It's not where you're going to just be able to talk about, shout it out and, praise it away and, pray it away. It's not going to go away like that. Right. The issue you're dealing with is cyclical, meaning like you're living in a mental cycle that's keeping you there, whether it's dealing with emotions, whether it's dealing with money. Can you tell that I'm a little passionate about this? I mean, whatever situation you're dealing with, there's a mental state that keeps you either in poverty, right? It takes just getting the right information to get you out of being poor.
Yes.
A lot of times we're poor because we operate under a poor mindset.
Yes.
We don't handle our money right. We don't treat our relationships right. You cheat, you lie, you roll over. And so it's like you don't keep relationships well. You don't manage money well. There are repercussions for cycles like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's repercussions for that. So it's great to kind of like teach people how to think.
Yeah.
I get excited about it.
My whole thing is you said, you go to church and you pray about it. Well, there's the answer to all the prayers. Michelle shows up and say, I got that resource you were looking for. So
there you go. That absolutely.
That's how it works.
That's great, Oscar. That's exactly how it works. So
Michelle is the answer to somebody's prayers. How do you like that? How's that for an ego boost?
I love it. Before we go, we're going to promote one of our partners on the Phoenix National Network. This is one with Whitney Cobrin, and she's our love coach. Here we go.
As a love coach and certified life coach, I help empower women to love themselves, love their lives, and have lasting love. Watch my Heart Hunters Love Coaching Program live every week on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern on the Phoenix National Network or on my website, whitneylovecoach.com. My guests and I will be discussing self-love, communication tips, embodiment, masculine-feminine polarity, and all sorts of juicy topics related to love, dating, and relationships. So go ahead and put a reminder in your phone now to watch every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern.
All right. That is our love coach on the Phoenix National Network. And she's great at what she does. Michelle, thank you so much for coming on again. Oscar, I appreciate you, man. You rock.
And check out this book right here behind me.
Oh, absolutely. That's right. Oh, yes. Yes. Let's do that too. Okay. So you saw it here on Phoenix National Network. Okay. You can order Michelle's book on breakingintomylife.com. Please go to the website now. Don't procrastinate. She's also on Amazon and Amazon and Barnes and Noble. So you want to make sure you check that out as well. All right, everybody, do what you do, and we will see you again next week. Bye.